So this next video is going to focus on the part B and part C that we worked on in the previous video. So what we're going to just remind ourselves in this B question is that they're all negative. So I'm just going to, in my Q's column, this is very helpful for me, I'm going to say word -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So when we're ordering from least to greatest, we're literally going from the negative biggest numbers to the negative smallest numbers. Okay, on this side, 1 comes before 2, which comes before 3, but it's the opposite when we're talking about negatives. So if you draw this little diagram, it's going to help you. So -3 comes before -2, which comes before -1. So I'm going to do this same thing as I did with the other question. I know that my biggest number of decimal places is 3, so I'm just going to make them all 3 decimal places so that the decimals are easier to compare. So this is -3.700. This one is going to be -4.250. This one is going to be -2.100. This one's going to be -2.110. This is -2.00. Dun dun dun. Oh, 0, because we want to have 3 decimal places. This is going to be -3.900. And this one is literally going to be the same thing, -1.999. So if I were to think of this as positive, okay, my biggest number is going to be 4.250. Okay, so that is going to live just off this one right here. So that is going to be our smallest number. Remember, we're not going to answer it as -4.250. We're going to answer it like it states in the question. So -4.25, and I'm just going to put a check mark beside it because then I know it's all taken care of. The next thing is going to be -3.9. because 900 is bigger than 700. Okay, so that means when we're taking the negative of it, -3.9 is going to be smaller than -3.7. So done that. The next one is -3.7. Check mark that. This is where it gets a little tricky. I'm seeing -2.100, -2.110. Ugh. Okay, so I know that both of those numbers are smaller than 2. Okay, so I know that either this one or this one comes first. So if I'm thinking about it in terms of the positive scale, 110 is bigger than 100. So -110 is going to be smaller than -100. So my next one is going to be -2.11, and then the next smallest is going to be -2.1. Then we're going to be at -2, as it states in the original question, and then we have -1.999. Done. All right, so here's kind of the first, the C part. We're seeing fractions for the first time. Woo! So we want to figure out what the lowest common denominator is. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, what? What's the lowest common denominator? Don't worry about it. I have some Math IXL practice that can help you out with that if you're finding it difficult to find lowest common denominators. What makes this one especially tricky is that we have 3 numbers instead of just 2 like we're used to. So let's see how we can manage that. So the method 1 is finding the common denominator. Method 2 you guys are gonna love because you just convert it into a decimal and you can see right away. So this question is just again another continuation. We want to go from lowest to greatest. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to find a common denominator between 11, 8, and 4. So I know that if it's just 11 and 8, the lowest common denominator will be 88 because 11 times 8 is 88. And 8 times 11 is 88. And they don't have any common factors between them. Okay? So another technique that you could use, and you'll have to just simplify further, like you'll have to get into lowest terms later, is if you just multiply these three numbers together. However, I know that since the lowest common denominator between 11 and 8 is 88, I ask myself, okay, is there anything that you can multiply by 4 to get to 88? Ah, yes, 22. So the lowest common denominator between these three numbers is 88. So I'm going to say over 88 over 88 over 88. So 3 over 11 equals, okay, I'm going to multiply both by 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And then 9 over 8. Now we're going to be thinking that it's going to be a number that is greater than 88, right? Because 9 is greater than 8. So we're going to multiply this guy by 11, multiply this guy by 11, so that's 99 over 88. So clearly 99 is bigger than 24, so 24 so far is the smallest. If we have 3/4, I'm going to multiply this by 22, I'm going to multiply this by 22, which is 66 over 88. So if we're ranking them from least to greatest, we'll say that this one's first, this one is second, so one, this one's, oh sorry, this one's second, and this one will be third. So when I'm going back and answering the questions, it says I need to make sure that I'm using the original questions. Okay, so I'm like, yeah, 24 is the least, but what's that associated with? What's that connected to? Ah, that's the same thing as 3 over 11. So I'm going to say 3 over 11, comma, then the next biggest is going to be 3 over 4. Or sorry, the next smallest. And then the biggest is going to be 9 over 8. All right, so method 2, you guys are gonna love. So I'm just gonna clear this from before. And I'm just gonna say, okay, 3 over 11 as a decimal is 0.2727272727272. So I'm gonna say 3 over 11 equals 0.27 repeated. 3 over 4 is 0.75. Now, I know that from my head because 3/4 is 75 cents. 75 cents over a dollar. And 9 over 8 is going to be 1.125. So just by looking at the decimal here, 0.27 repeating is smaller than 0.75, which is smaller than 1.125. So again, I'm going to not express my answer in the decimal form because my question is asked as a fraction. Okay, so I need to answer it as a fraction as well. So I'm going to have the exact same answers, 3 over 11, 3 over 4, and 9 over 8.